Hi there, and welcome to my channel, the channel that I call an always evolving work in progress channel, where I hope to have conversations with people just like you and me about our particular stories, our life's journey. And the reason for these conversations is so that we can help one another and also discover that we're much more alike than not alike. So if this idea appeals to you, my contact information is right below this video. Click on it and let's see where we can go from there. So today, I really feel that it's important to have the conversation that is going on out there that people are talking about. And that conversation is about what is called self-love, being kind to ourselves, having compassion to for ourselves, self-care. I don't know how many more ways to describe it. And the reality is, most of us, we can hear the words self-love, self-care, kindness to oneself. We hear those words, but really we don't exactly know what they mean or how to do it. For me, it's been a mystery for most of my life. Well, I shouldn't say most of my life because I didn't hear this most of my life, but for quite some time. Quite some time, this idea of self-love has definitely been discussed. Right now, it's being discussed more than ever because most feel it's going to be an absolute essential that this happens in order for us to actually go through this evolutionary process, that we really have to embrace this idea and actually do it, this idea of self-love. Maybe self-love for some of us is a harder way to look at it, so we could call it self-kindness, self-caring. You know what I'm talking about. And if you're like most of us, we don't really get how to do this. It's not like we understand the words, but we don't know what that feels like. We don't know how to really embrace it and live it. We just don't. It seems so confusing. Well, most recently, I discovered in kind of an odd way the concept that nothing's wrong with me, and it never has been. That means nothing's wrong with you or anyone else, and it never has been. And where this is coming from is the fact that we are spirit or spirits having a human experience. And as spirits, nothing's wrong with us. Nothing needs fixing. Nothing needs changing. Meaning we're just spirits here having the experience and the experience is happening through, being a witness to what's going on out there, observing what's happening. But we're still spirit, and nothing can be wrong with us as spirit. By understanding this and recognizing and really taking it in on a deeper level, that nothing's wrong with you, I believe, at least this has happened for me, that we can actually begin to get more to more deeply embrace this idea, to actually understand. The word is not understand. I don't want to say that. The word is really to be living it, to be living this idea that nothing's wrong with us. And that, by living that idea, we then can begin to move forward in self-care and self-love. We can begin to understand that because we're not hearing it or being it from the human mind. It's really the human mind that just really blocks us from understanding what self-love really is about. Because from the human perspective, this is just way too, I don't even know what to call it. Well, we just can't get it, right? We just can't. Most of us do not get it. I believe really the majority of us really don't understand how to practice self-care, how to engage in it, or self-love, which is so foreign. So I believe, at least this is what's happening for me, is if I can remove it from the human perspective and take it from the fact that I do absolutely have the belief and have the sense that I am spirit having a human experience. Am I always living like that? No. Am I always aware of exactly this is what it's all about? No. But I keep moving closer and closer to that idea. And something shifted in me when I could really kind of get to that place of accepting the fact that nothing's wrong with me and never has been, because nothing can be wrong with spirit. It just can't. It's just not possible. It's a human idea. It's a human thing. And this is where I believe the confusion sets in. We get confused with the human mind, the human way of understanding things, versus what truly actually is happening. So, what I found for myself, and want to share this with you, maybe it'll help you, is through this concept of, and it's more than a concept, but we talk concepts when we're kind of dealing with this sense of being human or being spirit, with this idea of there's nothing wrong with you and never has been. We can then begin also to see a way, or to find a way, to have compassion and empathy for what this whole experience has been like as we've come into form and having this human experience. And I found for myself that I finally could become very compassionate and have a lot of empathy for all that I've been through, for all that I've gone through and come out the other side, to begin to realize and appreciate how courageous that's been, how brave that's been to enter into these experiences and make it through them, especially the really tough ones. And we all have those in our life. And a lot of it, for a lot of us, would be, starting out with the way our childhood was and growing up and going through some really, really awful experiences. That part, that is an experience, is something that actually feels, as we go through it, it feels very real. Even though we're not this human, we are the spirit, the experience of it feels very, very real. Just like, if you go to the amusement park and you get on the roller coaster, especially a really good roller coaster, meaning really, really scary, you have the experience of everything that roller coaster is providing for you, meaning the screaming that you're doing when you feel like you're falling, the ups and the downs and the yucky feeling in the tummy and all the things that happen on this roller coaster, it feels real. Yet, all that's happening is you're really spirit having the experience. We've got to begin to see the distance between the two, so to speak. I was going to say separation, but it's not separate. It's just a distance. And when we can kind of back away and realize that we're having the experience, it's like virtual reality. It feels real. But we then pull back and remember we're spirit. And as spirit, nothing is wrong with you. And that allows us then to begin to experience self-love. Yeah, it really does. Now, this doesn't happen overnight, but there's these little shifts that take place to where you can actually, at least this has happened for me, I can actually embrace and totally feel the compassion and the care for myself, just like I can feel it for another person. Um, and I'm sure you can too. Your best buddy, best friend is going through a really rough time, and you want to be there for support. And you're speaking in that way to that friend. You're supporting him or her. You're saying, "You've got this. You can do this. You're perfectly capable of getting through this. I know it hurts. I know it's difficult right now, but I also know that you are very courageous and you're very brave, and you're going to get through this. You're going to make it happen." That's how you talk to a good friend. You're encouraging. You're like a cheerleader to that friend. You're saying the things that helps that friend get more secure in what they need to do to get through whatever the thing is they're going through. If it's a divorce, or perhaps they've lost a loved one, or they're in a really desperate place financially, whatever it is, you, the good friend, is really speaking to them in a way that helps support and offers them hope, or offers them the compassion and the empathy, that you're right there with them and you know they can do it. It's the same idea for ourselves, but we don't speak to ourselves that way, right? We have, and because we forget, and we think something's wrong with us, and then we start to berate ourselves, beat ourselves up when things look like something's wrong, or we did something wrong, because then we get lost in la la land, that we're the experience rather than the spirit, being the watcher, being the observer of the experience. I feel like I've complicated this, and that's not what I want to do. I just don't know a real easy way to speak about this, to make it perfectly clear. And it's still kind of new for me, so maybe I just don't have all the pieces in place. But I think you're getting the idea. Each one of us is going to kind of find our way through it. There's not like one particular way to get into this idea. But I think the first step is to start to let yourself know there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you, and there never has been, and there never will be. And through that actual process is where we can break down those barriers that have kept us from having compassion and empathy for ourselves, and also to let us have more of a loving feeling toward ourselves, rather than this constant judgment and constant beating ourselves up for making a mistake, or not doing something correct, or not being appropriate. I don't care what it is. If you're like most of us, which I'm sure you are, you know that deal that we get into, that situation where we're just berating ourselves, and that voice in the head doesn't stop. And most of the time, oftentimes, we're just repeating what maybe had been said to us as a kid. And we've taken that on, and pretty soon we think that we're really screwed up and we need to be fixed, or we need to hold the guilt, or need to I don't know, be changed to make other people happy. It is complicated in that way, or complex, I guess we could say. So I'm trying to simplify, because that seemed to help me, and I think it could help you, is if you could just take the first step, back away from where you're having all this negative conversations, or negative judgments about yourself, and just start saying to yourself, there's nothing wrong with me. There never has been, and there never will be. There's nothing wrong with me. And keep allowing that to kind of enter deeper into, it's kind of like a meditation. Let it really kind of melt into you. keeping in mind that you are spirit, and there is absolutely never anything that's wrong with spirit. And that this idea of there's something wrong with us has happened through this disconnect of forgetting that we're spirit having a human experience. And it's keeping us stuck so that we actually block this self-love idea. Yet, to get through this evolutionary process at this time, we really need to grasp, to live, to take on the idea there's nothing wrong with us. It's more than an idea, it's the absolute truth. There's nothing wrong with us. So, as a beginning practice, that's all you need to do. Is every time you feel yourself in judgment of something you did or you said or you should do or you shouldn't do, whatever it is, that judgment, there's no end to it. Just stop and see if you can say to yourself, there's nothing wrong with me, because there's not. You're not the emotions that are coming up. You never have been. You're just having the experience of it. You're not anything that voice in your head is telling you. That's just the voice in the head. It's absolutely meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. Because you're spirit having a human experience. And as spirit, nothing's wrong with you. But the goal here is to help. It's a way to help ourselves get to this place of self-care, of self-love, self-kindness. Because until we can do it for ourselves, we honestly can't really be very effective out there in just doing it for others. It has to be a two-way street. We have to have that for ourselves. And that's going to allow us to actually be a better friend, better support for another, to truly have more compassion and more empathy for all of those out there. Because all of us, every single one of us on this planet today, there is nothing wrong with us. And we need to get to that place of self-love. We really do. And when we can begin to have a shift in that place, have the shift to really understand. And then, like I said, it's more than understand. It's on a cellular level where we really begin to feel this self-love, this self-caring. It kind of shifts everything in our life. We start to see through a different lens that is much more pure, that doesn't have all the toxins with it, that stops the constant the constant judgment of ourselves, the constant putting ourselves down, the constant feeling that we need to be fixed because something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. We are absolutely all perfect. There is nothing wrong with us. So, I don't know if this has made sense or not. I really don't, but I sure hope it has to somebody out there. And I'm going to have to I will work on this. And as I begin to shift more and more into this place, I think I might have more clarity of at least how I've been able to do this. And this has been something, like I said, I've worked on forever. It's been such a mystery to me when I would hear people talk about self-love, self-kindness. It's been kind of like, not that I thought it was a bad idea. No, not at all. It just seems so foreign. Like, how do you do that? Like, where do you start? Yes, I can hear the words, but, I can't figure it out. And that's because I was looking at it strictly from the human mind. I was lost in the idea that I was this experience, that I was the emotions, or I am the emotions, I am the experience. That's where I've been stuck, and maybe that's where you're stuck too. So I'm not going to beat this to death, although I feel like I'll probably have at some point. I'm just going to hope that this made some sense. help somebody out there, and that we can all begin to move into this very important phase of this evolution and begin to really experience self-love. So one last time, I'm going to remind you, there's nothing wrong with you. There never has been, and there never will be. So, if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. And also, if you like the idea of having a conversation with me about your particular journey to share with others, to help others, then please click on the contact information below this video, and we'll see if we can't make that happen as well. But until next time, be kind to yourself.